Hello! Hello, hello. It wouldn't be an Ocean Liner Designs live stream if I didn't have some kind of monumental technical challenges. Classic. If I had $1 for every time that my green screen stopped working on a live stream. Do you guys remember? Did you guys watch the Empress of Ireland video that I did with Tom? And then in the background, at one point in the video, my green screen was just going on and off. So I had to get up, turn it off. Yes. I'm technologically challenged. Hello! Good to see you all. How are you? The reason that I did this live stream is because I missed you all. I haven't been making any videos, so I thought I'd say hello. We've already got someone asking after the Queen Mary construction video, the second Queen Mary construction video. The reason why that's taking some time is I'm putting a lot of effort into actually drawing the ship's entire length. You know what I mean? I'm doing all the frames, all the construction through every stage of her building. So the video is actually going to be quite in depth because I'm doing a lot of drawings for it as well. So that's why that one's taking a little bit of time. Michael Gregson Williams says, "Greetings, Michael." Michael, I like your name. I don't know why, it just speaks to me. Sean Pruitt says, "Oh my god, he's awake." Believe it or not. Golden Liners, hey Mike. Hey Golden Liners. Federico Del Sato, hello. I always, I love logging in here and then seeing a bunch of people that I recognize. It's really cool. Can you do a video on Queen of the North? I'm not sure if that's a Game of Thrones reference. Don't know the Queen of the North, to be honest. Glamorous Titanic says, "They have missed me too. Missed you more." Thomas Liang, can you do more videos on ships that came to Australia? Things like the Orient line in Canberra. Yeah. So, when I started doing my business, I think I've told you guys the story before, but I did this because my dad came to Australia in 1959 on the Strathnaver, which was an ocean liner from 1931. So, Dad, if you're watching this, really showing your age with that one. But they sailed out, and it was, a 3-week voyage. And for his 70th birthday, I didn't really know what to give him. So I drew the Strathnaver because I like ships. I knew how to draw things, so drew it, and then gave it to him as a present. And all of his buddies at the party were walking up and looking at the desk and looking at the presents that were there and just focusing on the Strathnaver, and they're all sitting around saying, "Gee, I came to Australia on the Canberra, or I came to Australia on the Orontes, or there's like 300, 400 ships that used to come out to Australia." So I knew then that I had a business idea. But then, of course, instead of drawing all the immigrant ships, what did I do? Got caught up with the transatlantic lighters, of course, drawing the likes of Titanic, Olympic, and just recently, the United States. I'm really excited. Finished the United States, and I'm talking a little bit with some of the members of the Conservancy to see if they're interested in using the drawing. But what an unbelievable ship. Have any of you guys actually been to see the United States? I know she's a bit sad sitting across from IKEA, but can I do a video on the Queen of Bermuda? Yeah, so the Furness liners like Monarch of Bermuda and Queen of Bermuda, really interesting because they were designed for independent operation to Bermuda, right? Which had a real problem with fresh water supply and extremely strong currents and not a huge amount of tugs. So these ships, these liners, had to go out to Bermuda, take a ton of water for the occupants. So they had these massive custom-built, fresh water tanks down in the bottom of the ship for the inhabitants of the island. But then they had to have this insane shaft horsepower to be able to maneuver around without the aid of tugs. And this is before bow thrusters, right? So their hulls were fairly short as well. Their forecastle and the stern were compressed a little to enable them to maneuver a little better without fear of striking the island or striking any rocks. So They're really interesting liners. I'd love to do a little more on them. Rainhill says, the one awkward guy who came via transportation. So, for those unaware of their Australian history, back in the 1800s, if you committed a minor crime, stole a piece of bread or whatever, you could be punished or convicted and sentenced to death or transportation. And transportation was they'd load you up into a prison ship and ship you out to Australia, because Australia was, of course, a big jail. And some parts of it still feel like that. Dad's not that old. We came out voluntarily, not by transportation, sir. I will have you know. We came out. It was advertised as Britain Under the Sun, which is this brilliant, 50s headline. Hey, Brady. Wow, only my high school buddies have ever called me Brady. Hey, Brady. What if Mauritania sank instead of Britannic? I don't know. There probably wouldn't be this weird mystique about Britannic, and Britannic would have gone on to have an insanely successful career, I think. I've been working on, you guys saw the What If Titanic Never Sank video that I did a little while ago. I've been thinking about Britannic, and fairly settled on this idea that Britannic, similarly potentially to Aquitania, would have gone on to serve for, decades. And potentially been a holdover. The thing about Britannic that marked her out, aside from Olympic, is that she had more private bathrooms. So she had suites with toilets, which is a huge deal because that enabled, it just lent itself better to cruises, and it also meant the ship was a little more popular and modern. I'm pretty sure Mark Chirnside pointed this out in an article he wrote, so I'm fairly certain Britannic would have been a little longer lasting, and kind of like the idea of her serving as a Second World War troop transport. Just a spoiler for you. Can I make a video about the Imperator class? Yes, the ball and trio. Yeah, I'm really interested in these ones, so I'm going to be doing some work. I've been reading, I mention this all the time, Hull Down by Bertram Hayes, about his time as the master of the Majestic, which is really interesting. I mean, those ships were monumental. Contentious opinion, and please feel free to bash me for this, but surely the Imperator class have got to be some of the least attractive ocean liners. I love all ocean liners. I'm not going to get into bashing ocean liners. I think they're beautiful in their own way, but gee, I mean, they're just so I don't know. Teutonic is probably the word. They're just built in Australia. We'd say I can't even say it because it includes a swear word, and this is a family show, but they're built a certain way. Then the exterior is, I don't think, very elegant, but the interiors were unbelievable. 30-foot ceilings, and I mean, it was just ridiculous. So, I mean, really stunning superliners, but also not very nice, I don't think, from the outside. But that's personal opinion. Have you ever heard about the SS Egypt? I have heard about the SS Egypt because don't know why I've got this. I've got this badge, which, if it goes into focus, would be great. Is it going to do it? Nope. Come on. Well, it's from the SS Egypt. You can't read the text because this webcam won't go into focus. But it says Peninsula Oriental Steamship Navigation Company, SS Egypt. Don't know why I've got it. Don't even really know where it came from. Obviously the SS Egypt. Don't know what it's from. Fascinating story. So yeah, she sank. It was a collision, wasn't it? I think she sank in the Channel, off the top of my head. But yeah, she was carrying a ton of gold. And this chap says that his family was involved in salvaging. His great-great-uncles salvaged her wreck and brought the treasure back to the UK. They salvaged many ships. That's really interesting. If you guys haven't ever read about the SS Egypt, check it out. It's a really, really interesting story. Please do a video about the MV Queen of the North. So it wasn't a Game of Thrones reference. This was a most beautiful ferry ship and a great history. All right, thank you, Sean. I haven't heard of this one, but I will have a look. Sean Pruitt says more Olympic class. What? How much more Olympic class can I draw? I've done them all. I've done every possible like configuration. I'll have to do something special for the 110-year anniversary, right? The next year. Yeah, 2022. It's 110 years. So, if you guys have any ideas, let me know. Do you find it strange that White Star put reciprocating engines on the Olympic, despite the fact that turbine engines had been proven by that time? Yeah, this is a good question. And there's a really interesting answer, because the designers and builders at Harland and Wolff had experimented with the idea of this hybrid propulsion system quite a bit. So Olympic definitely wasn't the first Harland and Wolff ship to have this configuration where you've got a central propeller being driven by a turbine and outboard engines supplying both power to the outboard propellers, but then the low pressure steam into the turbine driving the central propeller. It just hit all the right notes as far as balancing efficiency with power. You have to remember, like, Titanic and Olympic, we often go on, oh, they weren't built for speed, in the same way that Mauretania and Lusitania were. They were built for speed, you know? I mean, they could get up there, 22 knots, 21, 22 knots. I think Olympic at one stage, she was hitting about 23, 24 maybe. So, they had to maintain a regular service, so they had to be quick. And this propulsion method, think about the insane vibration issues that Mauretania and Lusitania went through, right? So it was so bad that after the sea trials, Lusitania essentially had to have her entire second class at the stern gutted, hundreds of strengthening columns added, and then all of it put back in, and it still didn't solve the cavitation and the vibration. And her and Mauretania had that for the rest of their careers. But Titanic and Olympic didn't, because they had this brilliant sort of hybrid propulsion method. And it's just super efficient as well, reciprocating engines are easier to maintain. If you crack a turbine casing or you lose some blades or something goes wrong, you have to crank that huge, the outside of the casing, which weighs tons, it's this solid piece of cast steel, crank that up and then get in at the blades. I mean, so they're expensive. They could drive a ship very, very quickly. We know they were the future, but I think they just needed a little more refinement. And the First World War, I think, provided that learning curve for, okay, so this is how we really refine them, make them more efficient, get rid of the vibration. And so then you get, of course, steam turbines, the 20s and 30s in those liners. So that's my understanding of why White Star, or rather Harland and Wolff, went for that hybrid propulsion method. SS Watermark for the win. So for those of you wondering what the SS Watermark is and why my smart Alec patrons keep talking about the SS Watermark, if you look there at my logo, you'll see an ocean liner, which you might think is the Queen Elizabeth, but you're wrong. It's the SS Watermark. This is when I was designing this logo, I took the Queen Mary's hull and then ripped off all the deck houses and funnels, and then put two like Queen Elizabeth type funnels as a bit of an Easter egg to try and confuse everyone, because people would be like, I like the Queen Elizabeth. And I'd say, that's not really the Queen Elizabeth. And even at that small scale, people have messaged me and said, Mike, I don't understand your logo. It's the Queen Mary's hull, but the Queen Elizabeth's funnels. So fair play. Some people have gotten to the bottom of it. But in the server on the Patreon Discord, we've taken to calling it the SS Watermark, because of course it's my watermark. I'm sitting here, this is Joshua Dupay. I'm sitting here finally being able to enjoy a live stream with my official Ship Nerd mug. Yes! You're one of the lucky few who have purchased the official Ship Nerd mug. Here, this is a toast to you, my friend. I have my Queen Mary mug handy. Did you purchase that mug from www.oceanlinerdesignsmerch.com? You have to plug the merch. Hi, Mike. What if Olympic survived the Great Depression? I just don't see it. I don't see her lasting a whole lot longer. She might have been relegated to cruising, but I guess White Star wasn't really doing a whole lot of cruising at that point. The bathroom thing killed it. She just would have lost tons of popularity because private bathrooms, you know, people had come to expect a totally different standard by the 1930s. I mean, look at Queen Mary and look at the way Queen Mary was built. You have to remember, Olympic would now be going toe to toe with Queen Mary and Normandy and Europa and Bremen and Rex and Conte di Savoia. I mean, it was just a different world by that point. And Aquitania could, because she was built like a superliner in that she had these insane tall ceilings and, you know, a lot more private bathrooms. Olympic was really from a different world pre-World War One. So I don't see her lasting a whole lot longer, unfortunately. I do have this weird alternate reality idea, right? And tell me what you guys think of this, where it's like 1935-ish, and Olympic goes up for scrapping, for bidding, and she gets bought by a German scrappers, right? Located in like Kiel or something. But it's a ploy, because you guys know Joseph Goebbels was obsessive with the Titanic story. He went on to make that movie, I think in like 1942, which was terrible. But he was obsessed with the Titanic story. So what if, as this massive propaganda drive, the Nazi party bought the Olympic through a German shipyard, and then instead of scrapping it, then started maintaining it as a propaganda thing. And then it gets caught up in the Second World War. So I've got this idea of Olympic being stripped of her entire superstructure, loaded with flak, you know, quad-veering anti-aircraft guns and 38mm anti-aircraft guns, parked next to the Tirpitz, being bombed by Avro Lancasters. And one of the bombardiers on the Lancaster was born on the Olympic in 1923. Boom. Boom. That's my alternate history. Olympic survived the Great Depression, but then was bought by the Nazi Party. Sorry, anyway, I'm getting off track here. Yeah, like a brick outhouse. Thank you. Yes, earlier there was a saying that in Australia, I couldn't say on this stream, but you say someone is built like a brick outhouse. It means they're, you know, the Imperator class, they look like they're built to last, you know? Although, obviously, the first liner of the trio, seriously top heavy, and yeah, had a bit of a hard time not cracking because they didn't have enough expansion joints. Could you do a drawing of the Russian royal yacht Standard? Oh man, yeah, I want to draw every royal yacht. They're so beautiful, aren't they? They're gorgeous. Did you ever go to see the Queen Mary in Long Beach? No, because I'm so far away. So far away. Australia is like the other side of the world. One day, I've got this huge trip planned out, you know, for the US. I mean, I've got tons of friends over there. I'd love to see Tom Linsky. If he wants to catch up with me, that'd be great. You know, the Queen Mary, the United States, so much. Yeah, I did want to talk about this real quick. So, Captain Alex says, in the video with Tom, it said it was great. Thomas Andrews. Now, so Tom Linsky and HFX Studios just did this video about Thomas Andrews. And I made a little cameo. And it made me, watching it back, love the video. But it's made me really angry. Because I keep getting tons and tons and tons of Titanic switch theory comments on my videos now. Hundreds of them. Daily. And I just delete them as they come in, to be entirely honest with you. It's spreading bad history, completely uninformed. There's not an ounce of truth to it. And I could go into a huge rant right now, but I'd rather maybe save it for a video. There are so many reasons why this is wrong. But the reason why watching the Andrews video made me angry when I thought about all these switch theories is because when you look at how empathetic Thomas Andrews was and how much he cared for the passengers and crew, on the night of the sinking, right, his first inclination is to go out and try and help as many people as possible all night. And if you believe and espouse the switch theory, you're calling him a villain because he would have had to have known. So you're saying that he's a bad guy. You're saying that he didn't care about other people. He fully accepted the fact that people might die in this crazy scheme to swap the two ships. So you're calling guys like Thomas Andrews a jerk. You're calling Bruce Ismay a jerk. Bruce Ismay, super, super proud of building these ships, had a long pedigree. You're calling William Peary a jerk. You're calling Andrew Carlisle, who tried to install dozens more lifeboats than Titanic ended up carrying because he cared about people's safety at sea. You're calling him a jerk. Where does it stop? All of the officers of the Titanic, they're all jerks, clearly. Captain Smith. I mean, they all would have had to have known. So you may not be saying it outright, but if you believe and espouse that theory, you are sitting back and you're calling these people, villains. So that made me mad because I realized that, these were real people, and the photographs of Andrews holding his baby, and he's got this big grin on his face. You hardly ever see people smile in photographs back then. So that made me sad. It kind of got to me. Don't make me talk about the switch theory, guys. I've avoided doing a video about it because I'll get a little heated. Titanic was switched with the Oasis of the Seas. I knew it! The whole basis of this theory, right? And the whole reason that this exists is that Titanic and Olympic look vaguely similar. And that's it. That's all there is. That's where it came from. Someone, I think it was Robin Gardner. I think it may have been Robin Gardner who first came up with this rubbish, but he was sitting back, right? Looking at a photograph, and he thought, oh, you know what I reckon? I reckon the Olympic and the Titanic look a little bit similar. Don't they? Innit? And then just went down this rabbit hole of coming up with rubbish. So I'm going to drop the subject now because I don't get angry and make a fool of myself. Miscellaneous says, just bought a ship nug mug. Like nugget. In Australia, we call nuggets nugs. I don't think you bought a ship nugget. You bought a ship nerd mug. Thank you for plugging it. Miscellaneous, enjoy. This is a toast to you, my friend. Enjoy your ship nerd mug. What do I think of the look of Oriana? Beautiful. I love it. Have you guys seen Oriana's stern? You guys go and if you're not familiar with Oriana, just look up Oriana stern. It's like 7 promenades all stacked on top of each other. It's glorious. And the only reason they did it, I'm fairly convinced, is because it's such a long damn way to Australia that you want to walk a lot of places. So you load your ship up with promenades and then people can walk as much as they want on the 3-week voyage out, because otherwise they get itchy legs. Just be sitting there the whole time. They found MP on the wreck. Oh no, what have I done? I shouldn't have even mentioned the switch theory. There was a video of there's a bunch of folks waiting at Dealey Plaza for JFK Jr. and Senior to return, which is its own thing. And a person goes up to interview one of these ladies standing there, and she says, they sank the Titanic. And he's like, oh, who's they? And she said, not the Illuminati, but they. And she says, you look into it, and there was these guys opposed to the founding of the Federal Reserve on board, the 3 richest men. And she says, there was Guggenheim, correct? Astoria, and the third guy I can't remember. Astoria was on board. Oh no, Ascot. I think she calls him Ascot. Yeah, Guggenheim, Ascot, and that third guy. So this is an interesting one. So with the switch theory again, there's this thing going around now that just so happens that the 3 richest men on board were opposed to the founding of the Federal Reserve, and that's why Titanic was sunk as like an assassination attempt on these 3 guys. But Strauss, who I think was the third one she was referring to but couldn't remember, actually spoke in favor of the Federal Reserve, and the other 2 never registered comment. So again, it makes absolutely no sense. Glamorous Titanic, you have asked me about 15 times if I'd do a drawing of the Russian yacht Standard. I probably won't be able to because I've got a lot of ocean liners to draw, but she is a beautiful liner. A beautiful looking yacht. Okay, so we got through the switch theory. Now, it is approaching 9:30. So, we're going to be doing a raffle. So what we're going to do is give away a print. Woo! I've got a print out here, which I didn't put up a picture, but we've got a picture of the Lusitania on her sea trials, which one of you could get for Christmas, right? So, what we're going to do, we're going to be picking a name off that wheel, spinny wheel thing that I use. If you're a ocean liner designs patron, don't worry about doing what I'm about to tell you, because you're a patron. You're already registered. Your name's already in the raffle. You don't even have to be on the stream. But if you could all go ahead and in the chat, type your name. Type the name that you would want me to pick out of the wheel, and type it only once, because if you type it multiple times, we're not going to include you, because we've had people spamming the names to get multiple picks. It doesn't work. So pop your name in the chat real quick now. I'm going to give you about a few, maybe like 30 seconds, then I'm just going to talk about something innocuous while you do that. And then in about 15, 20 minutes, we'll pull the name out of the hat. So put your names in, and I will answer some more questions. Hey, Mike, your video about Titanic, if she sunk, was good, but wouldn't Titanic become a 5-star floating hotel ship? Sadly not, because that just wasn't the way. Britain, it was so austere with their ships. They didn't keep them. And if after the Second World War, Britain didn't keep the HMS Warspite, for instance, the most decorated combat veteran ship of modern history, well, they wouldn't keep Titanic. Titanic would have had a fairly uninteresting career. And that's what I wanted to push with the video. Olympic was exceptional in that she did these insane things. She rammed ships. She did a lot. Whereas Titanic may have, but the Olympic was still scrapped. Olympic was a combat veteran. She had sunk an enemy warship in an engagement. So, ships weren't preserved as hotels in that era. It just wasn't really a thing. I know there was, a lobby. There was a group lobbying to keep Olympic, and there were thoughts to turn it into a hotel. It just didn't happen. So sadly, I feel like Titanic would have ended up at the breakers at Jarrow or in Scotland or something like that. Can you make a drawing of Lusitania from the 1920s? Yeah, you wonder what she would have looked like in the 20s. I wonder if they would have replaced those vents. I know they were sick of the lids of the drum vents being ripped off. I wonder if they were going to replace them with like Mauritania-style vents. What else we got here? Olympic is love. Olympic is life. Yes, it is. She is. She's still my favorite. It was an insane career. I have a rangefinder scope from X-Turret aboard HMS Warspite. My great-grandfather swiped it during the decommissioning process. What? What do you mean you've got a rangefinder from HMS Warspite? The scope? That's insane. That is really cool. Hold on to that. That's crazy. Now, Dragon Pride 699 has asked me to talk about the greatest ocean liner ever built. And this is a real thing. People ask me what my favorite ocean liner is. Is it Titanic? Is it Olympic? Is it the Majestic? Why couldn't I think of another ship name? What is wrong with me? Is it the Queen Mary? No. Is it Boaty McBoatface? No, in fact. It is the Johan van Oldenbarnevelt and her sister ship, the Marnix van Sint Aldegonda. They were two Dutch ocean liners built in the 1930s. And if you look at their design, you'll know why they're my favorite. Because it's like the designers were being asked by the shipbuilders, the owners. The owners said, "We've got this new ship design. How many different types of windows do you want to put on it?" And the ship designer said, "Yes," and just put them all on. Johan van Oldenbarnevelt. She was so popular in Australia, but Australians couldn't really say her name. No one's going to memorize Johann van Oldenbarnevelt. Except for this guy. So Australians have called her the JVO when she called in. They say, oh, look, there's the JVO. She carried, hundreds of thousands of new Australians to Australia, and she was a really interesting ship. And she was sold to Greek lines, became a cruise ship, and then sank and burnt in Christmas 1963. It was this crazy thing. She was on this cruise. Likely a cigarette, I think, caused this fire, and she was completely gutted, but she was in the middle of the ocean, and rescue didn't come for quite a while. So a lot of these passengers, they were lowering boats, but they only got a few away, and there's this insane story of these people in rafts all night and just floating out to sea, and a ton of people got caught up in the stern and unfortunately died. So it's actually quite a sad story. It's a really interesting one. I'd love to do a video on that. But an interesting ship. While I think Marnix Vansin Aldegonde, her sister, was sunk during World War II. But yeah, if you look up a photograph of the Johann van Oldenbarnevelt. It's spelled exactly like it sounds. Really interesting looking ships. Very Dutch. Very Dutch. JVO was here before all mankind. Yes, JVO. Johann van Oldenbarnevelt. I can't even say the name. Johann van Oldenbarnevelt. Her engines didn't move the ship. Her engines moved the earth around the ship. Johann van Oldenbarnevelt stayed still, and the earth moved around her. That's how powerful she was. Can you do a video on what if the Wonder of the Seas sank on a maiden voyage? If you don't know what it is, Google it. That was very prescient. I will Google that. Thank you. Wonder of the Seas. Is it a cruise ship? I wonder if it's a cruise ship. Hello, is we talking ship? Yes, we is talking ship. Also, I'd like to just point out and welcome. My phone's telling me that we just had a new patron join the Ocean Liner Designs patron. So welcome aboard. Thank you very much for your support. Here is a toast to you as well, my friend. Thank you. Good to have you on board. We've got a nice little crew over at the Patreon. We've got our own little Discord server, and we talk ships all the time. We do little hangouts. I'm always around. So if you're interested, I mean, there's tiers for like $1 a month. There's tiers for $40 a month. And you get an engineer's or like an officer's hat after a couple months of being a member, like an actual hat. So think about it. Scott says, bye, Mike. See you, Scott. Thanks for joining. Alexander H. Johann van Oldenbarnevelt is the spelling. Thank you. Yes, good job. That's great. Marcus, talk about the Wilhelm Gustloff. Cool. So, we'll do the prize draw in about 10 minutes. I'm just giving Chelsea, who you guys will remember from the Titanic Women video, I'm just giving her time to compile all the names. Actually, I'll tell you guys about our Sydney trip in a minute. So Wilhelm Gustloff is really interesting because she fairly well known now, right? The most costly maritime disaster in human history, about 10 to 12,000 deaths, and there's a lot of blame on the Soviet Navy for knowingly sinking fleeing German passenger ship loaded with civilians and medical staff and wounded soldiers and things like that. This is a really hard one because it's a horrible story and the human suffering is beyond belief. But viewed in a vacuum, it would be difficult to imagine why would the Soviet Navy do such a thing. However, during the evacuation of, it was 1941, the Soviet sea fort, whose name I forget, there was a Soviet liner who was torpedoed by German bombers. She was flying the Red Cross. She had the Red Cross painted on her decks. She was loaded with civilians. I think her name was not Estonia. See, this is the thing. Completely forgotten, right? This shipwreck is long forgotten. I've forgotten the name, which is horrible. But she was carrying thousands of Russian civilians fleeing the German invasion of Russia. The Germans sank it. So, I don't think it's ever justified civilians being targeted. But the Soviets were out for blood by that point. 1945. we know what they would, what they did. So they were really out to, yeah. And here's a really interesting fact that I only recently learned. The fellow who plays John Jacob Astor in the Titanic film from 1997, whose name I've also forgotten, because unless it's about rivets, I've got a bloody brain like a sieve. As a baby, or as a young man, a child, had survived the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff because he's German. And he signed on to do Titanic. And so in the scene where he's gripping onto the grand staircase column, the ship was the Armenia. Thank you, Reese. Yes, it was the Armenia. That was the name of the ship. If you're interested, look up the story of the MV Armenia. It's tragic. So anyway, this actor, he's clinging onto the grand staircase column. Eric Braeden, that's right. I've got the best community in the world. I didn't even have to think. You guys think for me. Look at this. You know everything. He was holding onto the column, and the grand staircase dome implodes, and because they were dumping tons of water, and he wasn't acting. The look on his face, like he was getting his flashbacks to that survival story. So he talks about it. It's really interesting in interviews. Didn't realize he'd survived that sinking. Imagine signing on to then, all right, I guess I'll do Titanic. It also reminds me of In a Night to Remember. There was a passenger who had survived the sinking and then snuck onto the set because he wanted to have the honor of sinking with the Titanic 2 times. So they were filming a sinking scene and he wanted to rush onto the set to be in the scene. Yeah, the weather was horrible. And here's the thing. You see the same with the ferry Estonia, is that escaping the sinking ship is half the story. If you're in a gale, or if it's blowing, I mean, once you're out of the ship, guess what? You are just in another planet. You were in Mother Nature's in control at that point. So, it's really something. We just had another patron join. Somebody else just joined. Welcome aboard. Here, I'm raising my Queen Mary nerd mug to you, my friend. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining. It's really, really good to have you. This is very cool. We've got, I'll get in touch with you after the stream, give you guys a link to the Discord, and you can come and introduce yourselves. But good to have you on board. Bonnie Boy says that their great grandma died on the Titanic. She was in second class. That's unbelievable. I'm sorry to hear that she didn't survive, but it's amazing you've got that connection, that tangible connection to the Titanic story. That's incredible. I certainly don't. But, so, you guys know, I just got back from Sydney. I went with Chelsea, my friend, and we went to visit, we went to do a lot of things. We went to do a lot of ship-related activities. We went and stayed on, we visited a ship that's being restored at the moment, which was very cool, the MV Cape Don. She was a lighthouse tender. We went sailing very briefly on the sailing ship James Craig, which I'll tell you about in a minute. That was a lot of fun. But we also visited the grave of Evelyn Marsden, who was a Titanic survivor and one of the very few Australians. And we went to film in this unbelievable cemetery where this woman is buried. She lived a relatively long life after Titanic. I think she died in the late 30s. Chelsea, if I'm wrong about that, please scream at me over the chat. But the cemetery where she's buried is like full of graves, from the 1850s, the 1910s. I mean, it's just this huge mix of people, which is fascinating. All stone, classic looking stone tombstones and things. But it's this long, sprawling hill that directly faces out over the ocean. And her grave is pointing towards the ocean, right? So she's got this incredible view. But it's covered in these wildflowers. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You've got this graveyard. It's yellow with flowers. I mean, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. But it's just so unusual to have well, maybe fitting to have this lady who survived the sinking. She would have been overlooking all those liners that came in the 30s and 40s to Australia. She would have been looking out over all of them. And I don't know. There's something kind of poetic about how she's, how she is now, in that time and place. So it was quite moving. And yeah, we definitely had a little moment. Liam Sharp, who, can I just mention this real quick? Because he's a man of few words, is Liam. But I do just want to point out that Liam has been working very hard on a certain upcoming Lusitania game, which I'm doing the hull for. Liam is doing all of the interior work along with Levi, and he's doing a very, very, very good job. So I just wanted to shout out Liam and say, it's been fantastic working with you. You're doing just fine. You guys are going to love this Lusitania game. You're going to love it. I don't know when it's coming out. I can't tell you. It's not my game. It's Tom Linsky's. I'm just along for the ride. But you guys are going to go crazy for this. This is so, so cool. So yeah, they're doing a brilliant job. My hull is kind of just like this little thing on the outside that, you know, whatever. It's cool. But the interiors are just something else. It's just insane. So Liam says, have you ever heard of the story of the SS Principe Umberto and her sister? She was owned by Navigazione... Can you tell my Italian's a bit rough? Is that Italian or Spanish? It is Italian. The Italian General Navigation Company, and was lost in 1916 with 2,000. Good God. No, I've never heard of that story. I will be looking at that. See, this is the thing. Ships are lost during the war, the First World War or the Second World War. You just never hear about these. 2,000 lost. I mean, that's insane. Federico Del Sardo says, to be fair, even if Bismarck was scuttled, she was already a wreck even before she sank. Yes, occasionally you will get people who we like to refer to as wereaboos say that the Bismarck didn't sink, she was scuttled. To which I say, why was she scuttled? Because the entire Royal Navy had beaten her to a pulp. So, she was sunk. Don't at me. Rilon says, every time you say James Craig, I always think you're referring to James Bond and Daniel Craig. Yes, it can be confusing. James Craig was a lot of fun. So, if you guys don't know, she was she was built in 1874. She's a 3-masted bark. And she's a stunning ship. For 40 years, I think, she was sitting as a... Maybe not that long, I don't know. But she was sitting as a hulk, completely rusted out in Tasmania, in Australia here. Nothing, you know, she's iron hull. So this is the thing. So she didn't corrode as quickly as a still hulled ship. She was old enough that she was made of iron, wrought iron. So when some people went out to survey her, they said, well, you know, she'll do. So they completely replaced, I think they replaced something like 60 or 70% of her hull plating. But now she's a fully functional tall ship sailing out of Sydney. Unbelievable. So we went sailing on this beautiful ship. And I put up this video, if you guys have seen it, Sail Fail. I put it up last week when we got back. We were in this tiny swell, right? If you look at the video, you look at the waves, they're not big, you know? It was about a 1 meter, 2 meter swell. But the ship was doing this. And all of the passengers were doing this. And half the passengers were green downstairs being sick. And the last thing you do is go downstairs because then you feel sicker. So it was a lot of fun. I was loving it. Chelsea was loving it, to her credit as well. But that was her first time on a ship. So she was hanging off a piece of rigging like a pirate. Can you imagine if that was the moment she discovered that she hated ships? If she got seasick and she was like, nope, this isn't for me. After dedicating her life to learning about Titanic and the ocean. Fun fact, one of my older relatives once went to Egypt on the cruise ship Stephen Battery. Yeah. Just finished drawing the first battery from the 30s. Ship, stunning little ocean liner. Gorgeous, gorgeous looking thing. Brad Ernest says, absolutely love your videos. Keep up your amazing work. Love your support, Brad. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys. I always get behind on this because there's so many cool comments. So I'm just doing my best to keep up. In the meantime, again, another patron has joined up. Brandiment, welcome aboard, my friend. I will raise the Queen Mary mug to you also. Maybe put in a little bit of what have we got here? Royal Navy rum. Royal Navy rum. What do you think? No, it's I actually have to go to work after this, so I probably won't. If you guys can get your hands on this, actually no, don't do that because I don't think I'm allowed to recommend people drink. If you're over the age of 21 in the United States or over the age of 18 in Australia, I would recommend trying it because it is, but drinking in moderation. And also, if you're not pregnant, please don't demonetize me, YouTube. Says Francis. Hello, Says. Welcome aboard. Cool. Well, you know what? We're just about ready to do this prize raffle. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to keep you guys on the line. I'm not going to keep you on the line. It's not a phone call. I'm just going to put the names in the wheel, and we're going to spin it. I'm going to see who gets a Lusitania print for Christmas. What do you think? In the meantime, have you ever heard about the Admiral Nakhimov? Yeah, these are interesting stories that really don't get a lot of time, right? Interesting sinkings. It's just shocking the amount of ships that have sunk. You know, it's just bizarre when you think about it. I mean, it's something like I was watching a video the other day. I swear they said that there are 3 million plotted shipwrecks across the world from all of history. 3 million. I just need to do a video on each one. Okay, so here we go. Takara Racer says, an antique store next to my old school was selling a piece of bridge equipment from a warship that was present during the Falklands War. I forgot what the name was, but it was pretty cool to see. A piece of bridge equipment from a warship that was present during the Falklands War. Interesting. I don't suppose it was salvaged from Sheffield or something like that. Sean Pruitt, I want another free print. You've already won a couple. I think you're doing all right. Victory Bob Jenkins says, my grandfather's friend for 71 years, I guess, passed away last October, and one of her family members traveled on the RMS Olympic to America on a holiday in the 1920s. Okay, so we're going to do a little thing soon, one day, where we'll do like a little watch party. Because there's this awesome footage of Olympic in the 20s. Or maybe, I'll say late 20s. And, there's all these people dressed up like it's the 20s, you know, like the lady with the bucket hat and everything. And, kid you not, Olympics in a swell, and she is rolling around like this. And these people are like walking up the promenade deck. At one point they're walking like this, and then they have to shift their weight and walk in the other direction. Which just goes to show, it doesn't matter how big you make them, they'll roll. Oscillation says, hi Mike, Peking and I just want to say this is utter bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, did you guys like the first episode? It did, you know, it never got as much like attention as my ship history videos, like, you know, Titanic's funnels. But it was a lot of fun. So I'm thinking of doing another one. I've lined up some special guests, and more importantly, I think I want to have a rematch against Tom Linsky, because I don't think his victory was legitimate. He asked me a question about port at the end. Not ship-related, Tom. Have I ever heard about the Scandinavian Star? On the fly, but not a huge amount. Again, like, here's the thing. I'm not a maritime history expert. I'm still learning a lot, right? So every now and then, if I go into a bookshop and I find some killer books, I'll buy them and read them. Just been reading about this one. The Kataraki. It's just an unbelievable story. Had never heard of it. She was wrecked coming to Australia in the 1800s. She'd been at sea the regular 3 months that it took to come to Australia, right? From Liverpool. She was shipwrecked 1 day out of Melbourne. 1 day. And she was blown onto a reef and broke up over the course of like 2 or 3 days. So all of these people, 400 plus people, are clinging onto this ship in a storm while it's breaking up around them. 9 survivors, 400 dead. Immigrant families, you know, 1 day out of Melbourne. Unbelievable. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get this raffle thing going. But of course, like I said, it wouldn't be Ocean Liner Designs live stream if there wasn't a ton of technical errors. I think we're good now. I think we're good. Is that everyone? Yeah, this is everyone. All right. I reckon we're ready to do our little raffle. What do you guys think? How do Swedes check in their boats? They Scandinavian. Oh, and you're one of the new patrons. We're going to get on very well, my friend. We're going to get on just fine. Oh, actually, all right, here's one for you all to mull over while we do the raffle. Here we go. What do these 3 ships have in common? Right? See if you can answer me this. What do the Empress of Ireland, the Andrea Doria, and the Malolo all have in common, aside from the fact that they suffered a collision vaguely amidships? They all have one thing in common. See if you can figure that one out and let me know. Okay. So, we're going to do our prize draw. Although, as always, it stopped working. As always, it's just not working for me. Is it there? Yes. There we go. Look at this. Look at this high tech. What is the Molo? Malolo. I'll Malolo. Malolo. Their ships, 2 funnels, capsizing. No, it was not the capsizing. Nope. Too many people. Nope. All right, here we go. While you guys think on that one, we're going to spin the wheel. Here we go. Oh, Jasper Barnes! Congratulations, my friend. Jasper Barnes, you are getting a Lusitania for Christmas. Congratulations. And Brandon Child has also just answered that they were all rammed by Scandinavian freighters. Which is correct. The Empress of Ireland was rammed by a Norwegian. The Malolo was rammed by a Norwegian. And the Andrea Doria was rammed by a Swede. So, Brandon, because you have successfully answered my trivia question, you too will get a print. You will be getting a print of Titanic on Easter Friday, a limited edition, my friend. A little one. I think it's 1/350. So, let's get in touch after this because you'll be getting one as well. But congratulations, Jasper. Well done. That's very exciting. It's going to be an exciting Christmas. It's a big one too. The Lusitania print's 1/200th scale. It's a big print. Oh, well done, guys. So there you go. We just gave away 2 prints, just like that. I want to do a Christmas stream as well before Christmas starts. So I want to... You're Brandon, and you're one of the new patrons. Look at this. It's all working out. It's gone so well. That's awesome. How do we join? If you're interested in joining the Patreon, head to patreon.com/Oceanliner Designs, and you can see that there are tiers. There's one for like $1. You know what I mean? You don't feel like you need to pay $2 million to be a member. But yeah, if you want to join up, it'd be great to have you, and we can all hang out on the Discord and play. Actually, we're going to start playing Sea of Thieves and doing things together, so it'll be a lot of fun. Sean Pruitt says, this is rigged. When will Mike print 1-to-1 scale? I've actually been thinking of doing that. Can you imagine printing part of Titanic in 1-to-1 scale and plastering it on the side of a wall? How cool would that be? Sean Pruitt says, this election was stolen from me. Come on, what is this? January 2020? Do you get it? Because... well... it's about that time. I know I said I'd give you guys a tour around some of my drawings, but we've kind of run out of time. I guess I'll just have to have another live stream. I guess we'll just have to do another one. I always enjoy doing these. It's real nice to talk with you guys because I just feel like I've got, there's like 110 people watching. I feel like I've got like 110 friends from all over the world who just like to tune in and have a chat. So this is real nice. Couple of last questions. Skittery Fiber says, can you give away a 3rd print to me? Probably not. There was a really interesting question in there that I saw. What was your favorite officer posted on Titanic? I really like Lightoller. I think he gets villainized a lot, but I like his attitude. I don't know. He was clearly he could put his foot down, and he seems like the most stubborn man who ever existed. But he was an interesting guy. Well, thanks everyone. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read the chat as it comes through. Everyone's being super friendly. I've convinced Joshua to hop on the Patreon. Come join the party, guys. It'd be good to have you. Because I feel like it's difficult because I only get to interact with you guys over the streams, but it'd be nice if you can join the chat on Discord and we can all chat. As an alt history writer, love your Titanic video. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna have to log off. What I want to do is, like I said, another stream before Christmas with maybe a couple little giveaways and maybe a couple more raffles. What do you think? Just a quick update before we all log off about my my drawings. Alex says, "Damn, Mike never mentioned me, or shouted me out." Alex, here's a shout out. So, I've got two patrons in particular who basically are my managers. So there's Alex and Sean, who run my Discord server, who remind me when there's a stream upcoming, and they do all my thinking for me. And it's amazing, because it means I can just zone out, They remind me when things are upcoming. They set events in the calendar. How much thinking do you reckon Jeff Bezos really does every day? Not a lot. He's got people to do the thinking for him. It's great. Is the Discord Patreon only? Yeah, it is, because we did have a public-facing Discord at one point, but I couldn't moderate it, and we had a little trouble maintaining the quality. It just kind of fell apart, and there was some bullying and that kind of thing. So before I make anything public-facing, I want to maybe figure out a way to moderate it and get my head around that first. So Cyber, I have to read this comment out because Cyber Quasar says, "Hey Mike, just wanted to say you are super attractive and love your accent. Thank you." I was always very self-conscious about my accent because I thought I sounded, I don't know, you listen to your own voice and you're like, yeah, I don't like it. Where can we buy prints? I'm not paying these people to say these things. You can buy prints at oceanliner. I forgot my own website link. What is that again? oceanlinerdesigns.com. Miscellanea says, "I love that you feel like Jeff Bezos." Yeah. I don't know, maybe we'll get another couple of Patreon members. We'll be we'll be at the $1 billion mark. No, I didn't mean to compare myself to Jeff Bezos. Just wanted to say thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I always have a lot of fun with these, and I always have a hard time logging off because I just want to keep going. But I wanted to thank you all for listening, and I really enjoyed this. We're going to do another one soon. Maybe the next one will be a little longer. We'll look over some of the drawings. I have finished the United States, but I can't show you just yet because there are some interesting and exciting things going on in the background. I've finished the Normandy. She'll be coming out very soon. We finished Carpathia. There's a bunch of ships, so I'll give you a little tour around. MDW says, "How do I join the Patreon?" Patreon.com/oceanlinerdesigns. Go and check it out. If it's for you, if you're interested, go and have a look. But for everyone who's joined, thank you so much. For everyone who's visited the live stream, thanks a lot. And I'll probably get some more videos up at some point. Soon, I don't know when. No, I'll get a video up this week. It will be Titanic related because I haven't done a video on the Titanic for a little while. And I know you guys do like your Titanic content, so keep an eye out for that one. I think that's about it. It's only 10 a.m. Yeah, but I've got to get to work. I do have a job, believe it or not. Look, thanks so much, guys. I'll see you again soon. I'm going to see you before Christmas, but if some of you can't make it, have a lovely holiday period, a great Christmas. I know it's been a really weird couple of years. This will be my first time seeing a lot of family again, so I hope you guys have a really good time. But thank you so much for joining, and stay safe and stay happy, and I'll see you again next time.